Okay, let's take a look at some SQL statements now. Really, you're only interested in searching through a database, and you won't really have to produce the results, just the SQL statement. Now, I want to write out sort of the important part. I tend to write mine in lines, although they can all be written in just one line. They always start with the word select, and what select means is choose one or more of these field names. So for example, I could choose name and gender, separating them with a comma. So I've chosen two field names. Now the next part always is the word from, and that is saying from which table. Now I've only got one table here, but we've seen several other tables in previous videos. So I'm going to say from person, and that is the start of my query. And if I ran that query, I would get the results. Now let me just put the results on the side. It would produce Dotty F and Jack M. It wouldn't give me the 3.2, the -6, or the false, or any of the other details. It would just return a table in memory consisting of just that information. That's what I've asked for. Select name and gender. So name and gender from person, and that's what it's returned. If I wanted to do all of the fields, rather than me write them in here, I can use what we call a wildcard. And there's a few wildcards in SQL, but there's only one wildcard that I can use in this area here, and that is the star. So if I did select star, that's called a wildcard, and that means select all the field names from person. Really what it would produce is just this table. So it's selected all of these and it's produced all of this data. So really I just asked it to produce that table. The second line that I tend to use is what we call the where clause. And what that does is sort of filter out records. So I can sort of choose, let's say in gender, where gender is equal to female. And that would produce all of these fields. So I'd get name, gender, weight, number of days, specified diet, but it would look in the gender column and just match the records that have F in them. So in this case it would produce Dotty F 3.2 -6 and false. Now this where clause is very, very powerful, and this is probably part of what you'll have to do in your test. Now I'm going to look at this one, the integers, because I've got a minus number here and I've got a positive number here. Let's say I just wanted to produce all the records that had minus numbers. How am I going to say that in my where clause? So I'm going to write another select clause, and what I'm going to do is just select the name from person, where. Now I've got to use the field name, which is number of days, and to get the negative ones I have to think mathematically, because I'm going to use a relational operator which will look like this. And the one that I need is less than 0. That returns all the minus numbers. So again, it would just return dotty. Now, if I wanted to sort of do positive numbers, I could change that one. So instead of less than 0, I could put greater and probably even equal to 0. Now, if I'm going to do this, remember the equal sign always comes after the greater sign, and that would return all the positive numbers, and this time the record that we returned will be Jack, male 4.27 and true. I can do that. Let's just swap this page out. I can do that with my Boolean field here, special diet. So I can start my clause, always select, and this time I'm going to select all the fields with a wildcard. Always use from, so these two words are always needed. You can't use just one of them, you've got to use both in the same line. And we're running from the table, and then I can say where, which is the filter, special diet is equal to true, and that would just return again Jack's field. So that is the basis of an SQL statement. The only other items that we have with it is that we can have an and an or, and we use those in this where statement. I haven't got very many records on this one, so I'll do it with this one, and then I'll show you on a larger table. But I could do select all, don't forget that's the wildcard, from person. Now I'm capitalizing it or not capitalizing it, it really doesn't matter. Anything can be upper or lowercase, it's not case sensitive at all. Select start from person where, let's say gender equals male, or, so I'm using the or command here, and I've got to use the field name again. I can't just put male or something else, or gender equals, well, I didn't really need to put gender, that's a bit silly. That's just returning everything where the gender equals male or the gender equals female. Really I needed a different field there, so let's try that one again. Just on the last one with this one, let's select all from person where gender equals male, or weight in kilograms, because that's the field name, even what's in brackets, is equal to 3.2. Now I'm debating whether to put it in string. It really doesn't matter at the moment, but it's a number, so really we shouldn't have the quote marks. But sometimes when you're playing around with a program, you might need the quote marks in there. So that now is looking for anybody with a gender of male, so Jack count, so I'd return his record because I'm returning all the fields with the wildcard, or a weight of 3.2. Well, Dottie has a weight of 3.2, so I'll also return her record. So again, I've returned the entire table. So let's take a look at a rather larger database. this one. Selections or collection, sorry. And let's run a query on this one. Very difficult to get that on the screen, but there we go. So I've got more data here, and I'm going to sort of do an AND query with this one. So if I take a look at the top, the actual table name is collection. So for this one, I would start my query off with select, and I'm going to choose just the artist from the table name collection, where times played is greater than 10. So in other words, I'm looking at this record, and this record, and so both must be true. Medium equals vinyl. So this time I'm looking for anything that's been played more than 10 times. So that record, and that record, but I've said and the medium must be vinyl. So that's okay, because 12 and vinyl, both of those are true. That's greater than 10 and vinyl, greater than 10 and vinyl, greater than 10 but not vinyl, so it would not include record 006. So the result from this one, because I'm just asking for the artist, would give me the Strangers for this record, and also the Strangers from that record. So I would have the Strangers as a result set twice. So one more query. I noticed this was not in the specification, but I would expect it to be part of the exam at some point. Hopefully not this year, but maybe in future, but I don't want to be caught out by them slipping it in now. So let's choose another select clause. I'm going to select all the fields from collection, and I'm going to choose my where clause again, where times played is greater or equal to 10. So now I've included this one here, this one here, this one here, and this one here. And I'm going to do order by, so I'm saying what order they should appear in. Order by times played in descending order. So I could have descending or ascending order. But the important part is this line here, order by. So I've got my select clause, so that is a keyword, where is a keyword, and now I've got order by as a keyword, descending or ascending as a keyword, and in this one the and or the or was also a keyword. And that's pretty much all you need to know about SQL statements. So let's go through this one. So I'm selecting everything, so the whole record, where times played is greater or equal to 10. So we've identified this record, this record, this record, and this record, and I'm ordering it by the times played in descending order. So that would mean that the highest number would be at the top. So the first record, and I'm not going to print out or write out all of them, but the first record would be 006, it blew in the wind. The second one would be 1 day, which would be 004. So I'd have the rest of the record there. The next one out would be this one, 003. And finally, it would be 001 with the rest of the fields in there. That is SQL and virtually all the wildcards you need to know. There is a way of sort of picking out information from all of these by using wildcards as well. There's a further wildcard, a %sign. And I really go over that in the SQL videos if you want to go back and have a look at them. I'm not going to do too much here, but the SQL means 0 or more of that type. So if let's just get myself a fresh piece of paper. Let's turn this upside down. If I was looking at the title, if I wanted to pull out everything with a G in it, I would write select all from collection where title is the field name, like. Now there's no is like or anything else like that, it's just the keyword like. And I wanted anything with a G, so it's a string. It starts off with a %sign, so that means I can have nothing before the G, then a G, and nothing after the G. So that means anything with a G in it somewhere. I don't care what comes before, I don't care what comes afterwards, it must have a G in it. So that would pick up record 001 because it's got go. Pick up this one because it's got groove. Pick up this one, gone. Won't pick up this one, won't pick up this one, won't pick up this one, and won't pick up that one. If I wanted to sort of pull out all the ones that start with an O, okay, I would do the same thing. Now this is not another line, this is to replace this line here, where title like O, and I don't care what comes after it. So that would pick out 1 day and 1 more time, because they both start with O and we really don't care what's after it. And I can do the same with an ending. I can find something with a particular letter at the end. So I could have written where title like, I don't care what the string contains to begin with, but it must end with a lowercase e, and that would pick up 002 down in the groove, 003, well, it won't pick up 003 because the last character is a question mark, not an E, and it would pick up 1 more time here. So it would pick up 2 records down in the groove 1 more time. It wouldn't pick up that because there's a question mark in it. So that is a wildcard, the %sign, and that is how to use it throughout. So that's as much SQL as you need to know for the exam, and possibly a little bit more with that order by.